Why, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Josi Do One podcast. I'm your host and coach, Josi, and today I'm joined by Andy, who I met through the power of threads. So, first, right away, if you want to build more genuine connections, get your peach over there. Anywho, Andy is your build camera confidence guy, but also a husband and a father who took the leap to leave the comfort of his 9 to 5, something I can very much relate to venture into the unknown path of entrepreneurship. And I can't wait to hear all about it, Andy. So happy to have you.
So happy to be here. It's funny being on the other side because I'm normally the host, but now I'm the interviewee. And yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Definitely. And also I want to, the first thing I kind of want to touch on is in the form that you completed, right, for the interview, you put down that you are a creatorpreneur. So what does that mean to you in terms of what you're doing?
Creatorpreneur, I would say it's basically an entrepreneur, but in the creative space. And so it's this term that I came across. I was reading a report, a Thinkific report, and I believe there they use the phrase creatorpreneur. And so it's basically you have creatives or people who consider themselves to be creative. They're not just doing their creative passions for doing its sake, but they're also trying to build a business around it.
Mm-hmm.
And, by putting content out, by sharing, etc. And so, once you're on that entrepreneurial path in the creative space, creator, entrepreneur, creatorpreneur, that would be the best way I'll explain what I do. And then probably still have to explain that phrase like you're
Mm-hmm.
asking.
And what is it that you're creating? Because you also said there's so much that you're doing. So how would you summarize all of your creative expressions?
How would I summarize it? That's a really good question. What I'm creating, I would say first and foremost is the best possible version of myself. And that'll express itself in many ways. And so it started, I would say roughly a year and a half ago. I was very, let's say, insecure about showing up on camera. And so one of the first areas that I wanted to improve on was my communication, the communicative aspect. And so kind of went on this journey of putting videos out there, just speaking my mind, sharing my thoughts, etc. And that now has led me to creating a community where I want to help other people do the same thing. But also, let's say before that, I am, how do you say, by trade, a web designer. And so building a creative agency or a web design business is also something that I'm busy with, where I help other small businesses just build their digital presence online so they can attract more customers and build towards their dreams as well. And so I would say those are the main things that I am busy with. Let me just think. Those are the main things that I'm busy with. So web design, and next to web design, content creation in the realm of community building.
And podcast as well.
And podcasting as well. There we go. Yeah, there we go. I know I was forgetting something.
That's okay. There are so many different expressions and different ways to literally express your creativity. And I love that you have those kind of like different pathways, because I can tell from, even though we don't know each other like very long, I can tell how passionate you are about it. And that's really great to see, I have to say.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been a long road. It's been a long journey. I mean, I'm 36 years old now, and I've been on this path of wanting to create a business for myself over the last 10 years and have been trying different things. But also in the process, improving myself, because there was a period in time that I also did public speaking. And you would think, okay, you do public speaking, so speaking on camera shouldn't be that big of a deal. But strangely enough, it was a pretty big deal. Um, I even just lost the question, but
There was no question. So I was just
okay,
like
yeah.
having you elaborate. But if we form it into a question, because you kind of like tapped into your journey already, and that's actually something I definitely want to know, because you just recently celebrated, obviously, your 1 year anniversary of entrepreneurship. So I kind of
Yeah.
want to flip it around. If we go 1 year before you tapped into entrepreneurship, where were you at that point, and what then helped you like make that leap and take that decision to create your own business and go your own path?
Okay, so if I go a year before that, see, because it's interesting. So I last year I made the leap indeed to do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
So no 9 to 5, just strictly just going out there and solving problems, my own problems primarily, and then helping others solve their problems now in the process. And before that, I was again working at a 9 to 5, and I won't say my entrepreneurial journey only started last year, but that's why, just before this question, I said, it's been like 10 years in the
Mm-hmm.
making, where I've always had this inclination to just be self-sufficient, you know, just stand on my own 2 feet, not necessarily be dependent on someone else paying me, although, as a, let's say, freelancer or on this creator journey, the market still needs to pay you if you want to make a living. But just being able to set out on my own 2 feet and and understand that, okay, if I want to gain something in return, I need to put out value,
Mm-hmm.
and that the amount of value that I put out, let's say what comes back in return, it doesn't have to be in proportion. It can actually exceed. And so that's what really drove me to wanting to go on this path. And over the years, I also realized that working in a 9 to 5, not that there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but for me personally, it just wasn't super fulfilling. What I found out is that usually in the first 3 to 6 months, it's like super fun anytime I would have a
Yeah.
new job, because it's like there are new things, there are new challenges. You have to just learn the systems and whatnot. But what I would later on, yeah, experience is that it becomes quite boring or
Mm-hmm.
repetitive and not so, yeah, stimulating for me. And it's not to say that I wasn't able to have different projects on the job, etc. But again, I think it's just this deeper desire that was still like burning inside of me to want to do something for myself. That, yeah, I don't know, it just challenged my mind differently, I would say.
Mm. And how would you say has your fulfillment experience changed now that you're doing it full time?
Beautiful question. And I spoke to my wife about this one, and I told her, this last year, even though I'm not making anywhere close to what I was making in my 9 to 5, I'll be, full transparent in that.
Mm-hmm.
I've still been the most happiest that I've been in a very, very long time. And it's not to say that I'm not a happy person or that I was a negative person, but in terms of fulfillment from your career and what you're doing or what you're pursuing, then this past year has definitely like exceeded what I thought like I would be feeling. And I mean, I had an idea that this would be like the path for me, but
Mm-hmm.
to actually experience it, it's yeah, it's just amazing to I'm just super grateful to find myself on this journey.
And do you know what I love about that? It's the fact that you are already experiencing these feelings of like fulfillment and happiness whilst you are on the journey. And you're not
Yeah.
saying like, I am on this journey to eventually like my big goal is to be happy and super fulfilled. Like
Yeah.
you know that the journey is literally the destination.
Yeah, and that took some time. I'll be honest, like
Mm-hmm.
that literally took some time, because in the past for me as well, I used to be super focused on like just making money,
Mm-hmm.
like many people are. But generally that always led to, feelings of unfulfillment because money was the goal. Anytime I would be busy with the actions and doing the stuff and realizing that like the money is not coming how I thought it would, then I would be super down and hard on myself and just in a very negative space. But so that actually experiencing that actually brought me to a place where I needed to, switch things up. You know the saying, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again and then expecting a different result. And if I look at the last 10 years prior, I've always had money at the forefront. And just over this last year and a half, going on 2 years, I decided to do things different where I made my growth and my input the goals that I want to really focus on. And it's not to say that I don't have a monetary goal, but it's not something that I'm putting on the forefront anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest shift in, I would say, mindset though.
That is a huge mindset shift. And if I ask you, how did you do it? What would you say?
How did I make that shift?
Yeah, because obviously I have my own expertise and experience in that, but I'm always curious, did you have help with that? Or did you literally do it on your own? Because it can be quite tricky at times, especially in the beginning, to be like, okay, I don't want to focus just on money, but then you might be focusing on what is fun to you, but in the back of your head might be like, oh, but I need to pay my bills, but I need to do this. Where is the money coming from? It freaks me out. And then the focus might shift again. So I'm just curious, how did you navigate that space where you maybe were like in the middle of before money focus and now impact values?
Yeah, no, great question. For me, I would say where it starts is, and that comes back to, again, having a 9 to 5. Having my 9 to 5, I remember reading a book, I think it was The Richest Man of Babylon. And during that period, it taught me how to save. And that's one thing that I've always been super proud of about myself from that period, is where I wasn't just like earning, like a paycheck and then like splurging it on silly stuff. I would save previously, and because of that, I was also able to invest in just like different courses and programs and softwares that I wouldn't need at the time to just help in whatever pursuit I was pursuing at the time. And so last year when I decided to make the jump, I was lucky enough, and that's why it's more of a personal decision. I was lucky enough to have finances in place that would allow me, first and foremost, to make this to pivot and take this route, this path. Because otherwise I know it would be super stressful, because then I would have no other, how do you say,
Choice.
choice but to focus on, okay, how can I
Mm-hmm.
make money fast? So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then where the actual mindset shift came was a clip or a video. It was a short segment of a talk I heard from Alex Hormozy. And for those that don't know Alex Hormozy, he's a how do you say? He's also like this big time entrepreneur now, as well in the creative space, but before that in the fitness industry. And he had this video that spoke about why many people don't accomplish their goals, and it's because their goals were usually based around an outcome. And when he spoke about that, it really struck a nerve by me, because again, when I reflected back on my goals were almost always outcome based. So it's like, have this amount of followers, or
Mm-hmm.
have make this amount of money, or get X amount of views or likes or engagement, or whatever the case is. And now, listening to that, realizing that I have completely no control over the outcome. No, you can listen to all of the tips and whatnot, but you can put like 5 hours into a video, for example, and still get like one view. Like But in that video, what he put the emphasis on was what you do have control of is your actions on the actual input that you are putting in on a daily basis, and connected to that, then the output as well. And so making the actions and your input the goal, like that was the biggest mindset shift for me. And so again, I can have, for example, a goal of maybe, making 8,000 euros per month in the next 5 years. But I have no control over how, if that's even going to happen. But what I can control is saying I'm going to show up daily. I'm going to push myself to, write on threads, for example, or consume intentionally, or journal, practice gratitude. I mean, okay, not to say like those things are gonna have it's gonna have effect on your mental state, but really focus on those actionable things that will eventually could help get you to those outcomes. And yeah, that's been the biggest, I would say, listening to that video was the biggest mindset shift that came and really assisted me on this journey, amongst many other mindset shifts.
But I love that you point that one out, because it's really about focusing what literally is 100% in your control, and then detaching yourself from those expectations of the outcome. It's just practicing this disattachment of, well, £8,000 a month or 8,000 euros a month are great. But if I only focus on that and I don't have it yet, there is a gap. But where there is never a gap is what you can do, like right now, as you say, like journaling. It could be meditating. It could be showing up on threads. It could be going live, coming to a podcast, whatever it is that you can literally do right now. And now is also always the perfect time to get into doing those things.
Yep.
As well. So yeah, there's another book that just came to mind that I highly can recommend, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Totally. Yeah. I heard that one. I haven't read that one yet, though.
I can definitely recommend it. I mean, in its essence, it's literally, the title is already the book, because it is the power of now, and just realizing that right now is the most important time that you ever have. You can't change the past. You cannot control the future. What you can control and what you can enjoy and live is now. So
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I think it was last night or early today, I just had this thought of, and you just have like these things just pop into your head, where people, I'm generalizing here, but I'm going to reflect on myself, would normally wait until, for example, a Monday or the first of the month or the beginning of the new year to say that they're going to start at that thing finally that they always wanted to do. And that's been something that held me back quite a bit as well, because then it's like I have an idea now, I have the conviction of it. I'm like, okay, wait, let me just wait until the first of the month so I can say, okay, it was the 1st of July, or it was the 1st of January, or and I guess I had this thought because when I look back at, for example, starting my podcast, my first episode was I think it was in November, like the most oddest month, to like, you would say you'll do something. But it was because at that moment, I also had this thing of, okay, I want to do this thing called podcasting. It would have been easy for me to wait until, January, but I thought to myself, why? Just to say I started in January, it's like, no, let me start now and prove to myself that I can do it up until January. And then January comes on, and then, you still continue. Then it's like you put your foot on the pedal some more, and then you continue gassing. And yeah, that's a big thing in terms of the power of now. It's like you have conviction now. You only have this moment in front of you. It's like, take advantage of it, because as cliche as it sounds, like tomorrow is really not guaranteed. It's like you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And why not use the time you already have to create that momentum to start then the new year being like, I already had my podcast for like a couple months. I already know what I'm doing, and now I can improve and build on it. So I love that. I do want to touch on, because you mentioned in the beginning that it wasn't that easy for you, even though you've done public speaking, to then build the confidence in front of camera. So how was that kind of journey for you? And what would you say was or is your favorite confidence hack in front of camera?
Okay, so that journey, like that whole journey kind of got interrupted when the pandemic took place, because at the time when I was practicing public speaking, it was in person. You were making contact, you're making connections with people in person, etc. And so, and I was doing it for a long period. And that just helped with momentum. When things shifted to online, again, like everybody experienced that phase, differently. But for me, it really impacted me because I was not really so fond of being like on camera and having like communicating with colleagues like through chat and like having all of these virtual meetings, etc. And so how do you say it? Like it repelled me, and it also put me in this, I don't know, this state where I became very, very antisocial. And I just didn't want, I just didn't want to be around, like, I don't know, I just didn't want to be around people anymore like that. And I mean, my wife would say like I'm more extroverted, but I think I'm still somewhere in the middle. And then like that lever just went to like boop introvert. Like I just want to be left alone, and I couldn't care less about what anyone else was doing. And so that just really, and so I stopped the public speaking like practice, etc. And public speaking is like it's like a muscle. Like if you wanna get stronger in it, like you need to train that muscle. And so like I stopped it, and like everything just went downhill, etc. And so when I decided, okay, like I needed to do something differently with my life, like I don't want for me to be bounded, not necessarily to a 9 to 5, but I just want to come back to a place where I'm just excited about growing again and doing something for myself and standing on my own 2 feet. I needed to do something differently. And so I know the creator space is still like a very new space, and a space, that there's a lot of potential to grow and to make a living. And so that's, again, now coming back to where we started early on, is where I said, if I wanted to do anything or achieve anything, I needed to be able to just do so confidently, if I wanted to build my influence, etc. And that needs to start with my confidence and just showing up on camera. And if I had to give like one tip or one hack to help with this, it's really practice. It comes, I mean, there are many other tips that I can give, but it comes down to practice. Again, it's a muscle that you need to build. And you would think, how hard can it be speaking on camera? Generally, it's not hard to speak on camera, but if you want to come across engaging and, just really, keep your audience like there with you, and then eventually like make sales, like give workshops, give trainings, etc., like you name it, then there's a certain exchange of energy that you still need to be able to convey being on this side of the camera, and just knowing, okay, someone is going to consume this. I want to make sure they feel like what I'm feeling or what they need to feel in order to get some kind of conversion out of them. It doesn't have to be monetarily, but it can also be that they feel a push to do something themselves now and, take a next step. And so that would be my biggest tip that I would give.
I love that one. It's something I'm banging on like all the time. I'm always saying like you cannot expect any outcome, any change if you don't put the effort in it. Like you have to practice. If it is a mindset shift, you have to be practicing that new thought pattern. If it's a new habit, you're practicing the new habit. If you go into the gym, you put in new reps as well. So it's literally the same concept. You have to put in the work in order to see the change.
Correct. And just to add one more thing to this is like there's also this I'm not sure how to phrase it, but this thing that you have to be cautious of, where, for example, in the content space, you're not, how do you say, like hiding behind tactics on how to grow and just
Mhm.
missing the fact that you just need to show up on camera.
Yeah.
I will be, yeah, it's funny because I'll be like, okay, I need to batch my content, or I need to make this content schedule, etc. Which is cool, which is fun.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you just still gotta, get on camera and and be convincing, or just be energetic and be, engaging. And at the end of the day, it just comes by doing. You can plan 90 days in advance all you want, but again, coming back to that power of now, if on a daily basis you're not, like chipping away at your craft, if you're not, putting in the time and effort into just, cultivating your skills, I mean, all the 90-day content plans, etc., are not going to help you, convert the way you want to convert.
I love that. I love that. I would love to elaborate on that, but I'm conscious of time. But
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
want to
yeah.
ask though, obviously, I want to also know, I want the listeners to know that way around what your community is about and how the Confident Creator Club can help also with what we just talked about in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so the Confident Creator Club, that's the name of the community that I host, I own, whatever, however you want to view it. Yeah, it sounds so, because I don't want to feel like I own it, because it's a community effort. But the community that I run, that's better.
Yeah.
It's really based on helping aspiring creators, and I want to target on people who are 30 plus, just because that's where I come from, what I know best. Because again, you're you're 30, you're of age where it's like you have your home, you probably have a little family, a career, and you're at this junction where it's like I should be confident, but I'm not. And so I just want people in that category and above to know, like, I can totally relate to you.
Mm.
And I want, to help those aspiring creators, who people slash future, creators, who want to build their influence, who want to pivot and maybe do something different and show up now online, which can, feel super weird and super awkward. Build that confidence again, to, first of all, be confident on camera, but most important, to be a more confident creator, because, it goes further than just speaking on camera, because there are things that you want to achieve. Maybe that's starting a podcast, maybe that's, or even in your professional career, maybe that's, how do you say, like doing interviews, just being, yeah, confident on, when speaking to the interviewer. Maybe you want to build a community yourself, facilitate meetings, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Like, being confident on camera bleeds into different areas of your life. And I just want to have this community be the safest space that someone feels like they can come to build those skills, and most importantly, get feedback. Like, that's the biggest thing. What'll help on this journey is not only speaking, but being able to get feedback and have people say, like, hey, this is what I really love about what you're, how you communicate, and maybe this is something you can improve. And those things that are good needs to be highlighted, because sometimes what we thought was im- needs something, an aspect that needs improving, or an aspect that we find kind of like, ugh,
Mhm.
like maybe the sound of my voice. 5 people might end up telling you, I just love how you sound. And so what that'll do for your whole mental state is, but all these years I just thought I sounded like, whack. But people actually appreciate, yeah, people actually appreciate this tone, or how calm I come across, or how energetic I come across. And
Mhm.
so that's a space that I'm trying to create with this community.
And I can also confirm from my perspective, because I'm in the community, it really is a
Yeah,
great place. You have created something really amazing there. Like, even though it's still rather small right now, I can
correct.
already see it growing into something really, really special. So I'm very, very happy to be part of that journey as well, and to see it from a different perspective. And I can highly recommend
Yeah.
everybody to to jump in if that's something they want to pursue. And I love the feedback. I really love the feedback. I found it so helpful because I was just like, oh, so I'm actually not that bad in front of camera.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I remember you did a video, and you got the feedback that you do come across very confident, and your response to that was, I'm glad someone noticed because it's been something that I've been working on. And those are like the mental things that can just give us that bump, that boost of confidence to know that, hey, this thing that I have been working on, it is being noticed, it is being recognized, and you can take that and then continue to propel it into, forward into whatever it is that you're working on.
Exactly, because it gives you like this little extra confidence boost of, okay, I need to worry less now because what I'm doing right now, it works already better than what I did like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. One last question before we go into the fire round of questions. Okay, you mentioned, obviously, the first thing when I asked you, like, kind of like why you're doing this, and you mentioned you want to kind of like grow into the best version of yourself as well. So what is next on your journey of growing into your best version of yourself?
That's a good question. I think what's next is what I'm doing now, right? And when I say now, right now with you, like being on the other side of the table, it is very daunting because like I never really considered myself to be like super smart, and let's say, back in school, like history and geography, like I was horrible at those things. Still am, because those things just never really, like caught my interest the way they like by some people they would. And I guess I would be very like insecure of like if I were to do, like talks like these that, people ask me about politics, which is also something I'm like I'm not even like, that's not even in my realm of, but just being more confident to show up in places and spaces like these and have these conversations, I would say is the next like phase in my personal growth, my personal journey, because then it's also a testament of this process that I've been going through of becoming more confident on camera. Because again, I build a community to help others, but it doesn't mean that I'm, like this just super confident person now, or that I feel like I'm at this place where I don't need to do anything else. Like that's far from the truth. The whole community aspect is just to have, again, this space where I myself as well can grow in this area and provide assistance to somebody who is 1 to 5 steps behind me. Right. And so I think that would be, that's the next thing on my journey, is to, again, put myself in these spaces where not necessarily I'm not really in control, because when you're the host, you're in control, but now I'm, not in control, but I still do have control on how I present myself and come across.
Yes, exactly. It's all about growing together as well. It's something that you point out actually quite regularly. Also on threads, I see that quite often when you post that you're saying like, why not grow together and be on this journey together? And rather than you basically being already at the end of it and talking to the people at the back, like, it's no, I'm sharing as I'm creating, and I'm with you as I'm building, we're growing together. It's like, it sheds also so much light on the journey in general. It's not just like, I'm this expert now and I'm talking to you. It's more like, hey, I'm in the messy middle right now. I'm doing this with you. Like, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, it's a value that I established for myself, that I want to be, transparent in this process. Of course, you're not going to be able to share everything, but to take people along the journey and let them know, like, hey, this is this is in the making, this is in the works. And a term that I think that AI kind of helped me, like, not coin, but just, wrap my head around, is this idea of, I don't necessarily want to be positioned as an expert. I want to be positioned as a growing expert. So, because then it doesn't give the impression that I feel like I'm there and then that's it. But I'm also on this journey of, growing into an expert, or just this ever evolving expert. But if there is something that I can help you with that I have, like you feel like where I am is where you would want to be, then that's something that I can help you with, but knowing that I still have so much more room to grow as well.
I love that. That's a beautiful segment, I feel like, into the last beautiful segment. Oh, the other way around. That's a beautiful transition. There we go, into the next segment. Yeah. Maybe it's a little bit too early for me on a Monday morning. Okay. So in this last segment, it's a fire round of questions. So I will be asking you a couple of questions that you can answer with one word or a short sentence only.
All right, let's go.
Okay. Before we do so, please tell me a number between 1 and 10.
Oh, man. 8.
Oh, okay. You get 8 questions.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right, let's go.
What is the Andy way of living and leading your best life?
Transparent. Being open and honest about the journey and the process.
I love that. When shit hits the fan, what do you tell yourself to get through it?
It's actually a saying, I can't remember who said it, but it's understanding that this too will pass, and to be grateful in the good times and graceful during the down times.
That's so well said. Nice. What is your key habit for success, or your version of success?
Take action.
What is your
Daily.
favorite daily?
Yeah.
What is your favorite book that you would recommend to everyone?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson.
Yes, that's a good one. I think I read it twice, actually.
Yeah.
Once in an audiobook version and then in the real version.
It's so good.
What is one word or expression that you say all the time?
You know. Yeah, no. What's one word or expression I say all the time?
It can be, It can also be, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's something I need to work on.
One thing I see in your messages is also dope.
And dope, yeah. Yeah. Very dope, yeah.
What is the theme song of your life?
The theme song. Oh. Work hard, play hard. That's the first thing that came to mind.
That's a good one. Fits very well.
Yeah.
What is your main takeaway of today, of this interview?
My main takeaway is that I feel more than capable to do conversations like these, and that is actually going better than I I thought it would. Not that I thought I would be bad at it per se, but that it's not as nerve-wracking as I was making myself think or to believe, and that you're actually a really good podcast host as well.
Aww.
Yeah. No, honestly.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it is a skill. It's not it because being on this side, I know it's not something to take lightly, to guide a conversation, to hold a conversation, etc. And you're doing a superb job.
Yeah, kudos to both of us. Okay, last question. What is one thing you want to unlearn?
That I have to wait for permission to do something. The only permission I need is, from myself. That's a big one.
That's a very big one. And that's why I'm just leaving it there, because that's so important. You are the one to give yourself permission. Andy, thank you so much for this conversation. It was super fun. And even though it was turning the tables and new for you, I feel like you've done great. And this was really, really, really good. There were so many different gems in terms of your journey, but also your expertise and where you're going. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for being in the space.
Yeah, I appreciate you for how do you say it? Like recommending this podcast swap, if you want to call it
Mhm.
that. And yeah, again, just for your ability to just to guide and to lead and just to make your guests feel, calm and relaxed. And like this is again just a regular conversation. So yeah, this has been really, really fun. More fun than I actually thought it would be.
Yes. That's music to my ears.
And for the listeners, this is my first time. So Josie is,
Mhm.
she's yeah, I mean, yeah, it speaks to your character as well and your energy.
Thank you very much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Gosh, it should be me like flooding you with compliments,
No.
like Andy, you've done amazing.
It's just who I am as well.
Oh, thank you. No, I can only say the exact same back to you. And again, I also want to just shout out again your community. It's really a great space. I enjoy very much being in there, even though it hasn't been long yet, but I'm loving it. And so thank you for what you're doing, what you're putting out there, what you're creating, and for the impact you are having on so many people's lives already. That is very, very special and something to never be underestimated, even though maybe it's one person or it's 20, it's 30. Those are still lives, those are still
Exactly.
people, and they are still of value, and that's still impact. And that's something you are doing because you're doing what you're doing. So a
Thank you
sophisticated
so
clap for
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot.
And also, of course, I want to give you the chance to just say, where can people find you? Where can they join your community? What do they need to know to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so if you want to get in touch with me, the best places to go is either Instagram or on Threads, the connected platform. And my handle is Andy's Canvas. So that's ANDYSCANVAS. And there in my bio, you'll see a direct link to the community because that's the main thing that I'm building at the moment right now. And yeah, we can connect.
Amazing. Again, I can only recommend everybody go over there. And with that, I see you again next week, Monday, with a new episode. And until then, have a great time. Bye.
Take care, guys.
I saw you already came into the room like an hour early. I was like, oh no, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, but it's because I thought it was 10 o'clock. For some reason, I thought it was 10 a.m. So I was waiting. And then when I looked at the time again, and I said, oh, wait, 11 a.m.? Oh, okay. I have another hour to do some stuff.